From the swamp to the stars, it is time once again where we bring in little Timmy Seanor, our resident Timbit, for the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Little Timmy Seanor, it's always great to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. And the wild week continues with strange news. Is it Chinese? Is it UFOs? Is it aliens? Is it spy balloons? And I don't know where we're going tonight, man. I really don't. Are you having fun yet? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the ride. Honestly, like I said, anytime I see UFOs in the headlines, I'm happy.
Yeah, just need you to move a little bit closer to your microphone there. You're really quiet.
Okay, how's that? Is that any better?
Better? Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, anytime there's UFOs in the headlines, you see me smiling. That is for sure, brother.
You know, there's a lot of people getting sick of this story. But you know what? I got to admit, and I was telling random guy this earlier on the phone, I'm having fun with this right now. We are literally, through social media, the news, and everything, watching real live propaganda played out by the military and the U.S. government. We're watching this.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, people are taking it verbatim. Okay. And it's just amazing how many people, not just in the UFO community, really do believe there's aliens coming down and that we are at the start of an invasion and Project Bluebeam is here and everything to do with extraterrestrials. I mean, there are people really right now, shopping at 24-hour gun stores, buying ammunition and weapons because them aliens, they're on their way.
Well, that's the American way, bud. Come on. We like to be prepared. So, get the ammunition, get all the dry goods you can, and hunker down because who knows what those balloons are going to be raining next. But, it's interesting that it is still in the headlines and that we're seeing senators and Congress people talking on it and giving their opinions. And Mark Rubio has been out talking about it. Senator Kennedy has been out talking about it. And we're getting some pretty interesting opinions coming forward, and we're going to talk about that tonight because there's still a jury out exactly on what these last three objects exactly were. And it's sounding like we may not even recover the one in the Yukon. Right?
Oh, that one's going to be recovered. They know where it is.
But this is the story that it's hard. And so, recently there was a statement. And so I've got that update for us at some point here. But yeah, they are definitely trying to pass the buck. There's nobody coming out with responsibility or answers, and they're still calling them objects.
Yeah. You know what I noticed through a lot of this entire thing over the last week? How much more the term UFO was used by government officials and politicians alike, and not the dreaded UAP that you love so much. I love that. It was old school, man. Total old school.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Literally, I mean, that's what I was saying. Seeing a UFO in the headlines is fantastic. In fact, one of the headlines had Bigfoot and UFOs in it, and it was a serious article. And I was like, all right. But I think that you're bringing up a great point, that UAP and UFO are two different things. And the media is even treating them as two different things. And I believe that if they really want to get people's attention, they're using the word UFO.
Yes, absolutely. UFO. Absolutely. And you know what? I will stick to my guns. Like I said at the beginning of the year, when I said I am trying to ban the term UAP on this show. And I know it's not going to win, but at least for me, and my audience, I want them to use UFO, because the minute you use that UAP acronym, in my opinion, maybe people are not going to agree with me, but in my opinion, the term UAP means you bought into the government narrative on this subject. And the government narrative is not taking us down a road that we want to see. Not at all. And I love the fact that we're starting to see more UFO talk, because that's exactly what it is. They're UFOs.
Yeah. And in fact, if you don't mind jumping right into my first headline of the night, I think that it's a pretty big one. Do you want to hit it?
Yeah, let's go right to it right off the bat, because apparently on Google Maps, they now have an alien tracker. What's going on here? And Bigfoot.
Yeah. And that's the headline, that literally Google Maps now has an alien tracker that lets you see if UFO or Bigfoot is sighted near your home. And so the good news for alien and Bigfoot hunters everywhere is that there's a new feature in Google Maps, and it has been launched. It's going to allow you to keep track of all the sightings in your neighborhood. So the crowdsourced map reveals UFO and Bigfoot sightings near you, and there are more than you might think. The map is not only open to the public submissions, but it also reveals supernatural hotspots. So dozens of sightings overlap in, say, Harlan, Kentucky, making that state a hotspot, and especially in Harlan. And so, dubbed Bigfoot, UFO, and more sightings, the research is a Google map that currently comprises 361 sightings dating back to the 1940s. The map is an assemblage of recent public submissions and historical records. The national map is crowdsourced, meaning anyone can contribute. It was started by Thomas Markham of Bell County, Kentucky in 2014 and has over 1.3 million views so far, with the last entry made less than 2 weeks ago. So it's estimated that 2/3 of Americans believe in extraterrestrial life now, and in a week, there were 3 unidentified objects that have been shot down by the U.S. government. The public has been on red alert for possible supernatural sightings. So is ET finally coming home? Or perhaps we have sci-fi fanatics being let loose with a spreadsheet of some sort. But either way, the U.S. government has dismissed rumors that the recent takedowns could be life from another planet.
Are they doing anything else like hauntings or other sorts of monster sightings?
It does look like they have 3 or 4 subcategories there that I can see. Definitely question mark is one. It looks like hauntings and Bigfoot and UFO.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you know what? I could see people having a lot of fun. And this kind of ties in to what we were talking about with Merle and Jake about paranormal tourism. Like this, you look at this map and you can say, wow, like between July and August, there was 17 Sasquatch sightings in Spokane, Washington. Or, in Winnipeg, Manitoba, there were 38 UFO sightings between September and October. You can literally plan your holidays. If you're into the weirdness and the Fortean life, you can plan your holidays around a map like this.
I think it's so cool. And it's great that Google's getting involved because it's going to put it in the hands of millions. So I love this, and I'm totally going to be using it. I have, in fact, in the past, been to one of these places that is a ghost tour. I went to the Undercity of Seattle, and I can tell you, I wouldn't have wanted to do that without a tour guide, because I can't imagine being lost in the catacombs below Seattle all by myself or with friends even. That would be just a nightmare. It's so dark and spooky down there. So I respect all these teams that have the guts to go to these haunted locations. That's some other level stuff, to have the fortitude to be able to do that and isolate yourself in scary places. Whew. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And you know what? I think we're going to start seeing more of this here very, very soon. I really do. You know,
Paratourism, is that what it's called?
paratourism or whatever you want to call it. You know, as people are searching for different things to do in life, why not? Why not? And you know what? Of course, because it's Google, it'll probably have government ties to everything that goes on. But I would like to see how you create a report. How do you mark it down? Is it like geocaching where you just punch in your coordinates and your explanation and then hit send? Or is it something like a MUFON application where you have to file a report in order to get it in there? Because the issue that you're going to have with something like this is fake reports. That's the problem that you're going to have. So the question is, who is actually monitoring this to make the reports at least somewhat real? You know, I hate to be a Debbie Downer on something like this because I would absolutely love to see it. But who's monitoring it to confirm whether or not the reports are real? I mean, there's nothing saying that a bunch of internet trolls or Mick Wests out there don't jump on there and do a social experiment, by putting, say, 42 Sasquatch sightings in the middle of Kentucky.
Don't give him ideas.
Well, I understand that. but you see what I'm saying, though?
I do.
Unless you have somebody verifying or you've teamed up with MUFON or BFRO, that's where I could see a little bit of issue.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a story for you.
Please, I would love one.
Do you remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about how MUFON's executive directors were all in Washington, D.C.?
I do remember that conversation, yes.
Yes, and they were hiring or joining a lobbyist group called A10 Associates.
Okay.
Well, it was announced on MUFON's website earlier this week, and I was tipped off about it today, that the board of directors of MUFON now includes a lady named Jessica Beeson Toko. Who is she? Well, Jessica, in her bio, is the CEO and founder of A10 Associates and has over a decade of unique experience working with local, state, federal, and international governments. Jess runs the firm's overall operations and involves herself in all divisions. She additionally leads the firm's federal practice group. Before launching A10 Associates, she worked under George W. Bush White House, and she previously served as the director of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam and director of Asia Pacific Council of American Chambers, helping U.S. companies across 25 different Asian cities shape policies and coordinate lobbying efforts to promote American exports. Since moving back to Massachusetts, Jess maintains strong relationships with the Massachusetts congressional delegation. She is also active with both the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee and the National Republican Congressional Committee. How do you feel about a lobbyist now joining MUFON's board of directors?
Professional lobbyist?
Professional lobbyist.
Well, they're professional, so... No, I'm just kidding. Lots of follow-up questions, obviously. I guess the why. Why do you think this person has been brought on board?
I asked you the question first. You're not going to answer me with a question.
Well, this is new information to me, so I mean, I would need to know more before I can draw a conclusion. At this point, knowing what I know, it sounds like they're preparing to partner up in some way, and this is a liaison of some sort.
I look at it this way, is to me, if I'm a MUFON investigator or a state director, I would have some serious questions about the direction of where MUFON is going. Okay, there are those out there who will say MUFON has always been tied to the government, either secretly or publicly, so it's not that big of a deal. And there are going to be others who say, hey, I didn't get into MUFON to team up with the government. I came to find answers because the government isn't giving us the answers. So I'm very curious to see how I'm going to toe the middle line here on this one, but I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out, because I do know that there are some very big name state directors that are watching this process being played out very, very closely. And I do know that they are very concerned about the direction that MUFON is going under its current leadership. And they want some answers as to why MUFON is now really pushing the gamut on getting into Washington, D.C., and what is the purpose of all of that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I don't know how it's going to play out. I got friends on both sides of that argument. And, you know, when you're in a position like I am, you meet a lot of people and you talk to a lot of people. And I just want to see MUFON come out of this golden for once, because over the last number of years, every time they try a stunt like this, it ends up shooting them back in their own foot. So I hope this isn't the case.
Indeed. I'm 100% with you. I'm right down the middle on this. I need to know more. However, we'll see what happens.
Let's finish that thought when you come back. We'll get Tim's thoughts on MUFON having a lobbyist on their board of directors now. And the UFO report will also see us get into Space Force when we return on Spaced Out Radio's UFO report. Random Guy will be joining us at the top of the hour for a little overtime. Yeah.
Meaty stuff. Well, that's really interesting. And yeah, it sounds like they got what they were asking for in that letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like your cup.
Thank you. Hey, Shock Filet, how are you, buddy? No, I'm not mad about it. To me, it's disappointing. And like I said, I have a lot of friends on MUFON. What does that say?
Doghouse. Anytime I hear MUFON, they're officially in the doghouse with me.
I just wish. Okay, and you know, like, I know, Tim, you and I have talked about this a lot. And Nicole Sackich and I have talked about this a lot. And I've talked to Linda Thompson and many others about this a lot. And MUFON, and I've talked to a couple of really close MUFON friends of mine who I'm going to leave their names out of this for right now. And they are really concerned about the ever-changing face of what MUFON is. Okay, let's remember that when MUFON started, they were a public watchdog to be the eyes and ears of what the government was hiding on this subject. And now it's like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. I really hope that there is not a mass exodus from MUFON because of this. I'm curious to see. I find it interesting that MUFON has not released a press release on this. That is something that they should have done.
Addition to the board of directors, absolutely.
You know, and from people who I've talked to who have been high up in MUFON, one of the things that I have readily stated to them is you don't need to team up with the government. What you need is something that you haven't had over your decades, and that is somebody who actually knows how the media works. Somebody who could give you proper media advice, write a proper press release to get your name in there, to get your names involved in the conversation. And we've never seen that of MUFON, ever. And, you know, I'm not upset about it. It's the way they've always done things. But you know what? That antiquated thinking has cost them a lot of press, a lot of their reputation. Not dealing with things has cost them that. And that's on the, that. And once again, I want to stress for our audience who is listening here, there is a massive, massive difference between MUFON and its executive directors and board of directors and the people who are absolutely wonderful, who do the grunt work, the state directors, the boots on the ground people. They are doing great work, fantastic work in trying to shed light on this subject. Okay, they are working their tails off, and their board of directors seems to just wash it all the way, like a 5-finger death punch song. I don't get it. I don't understand that split, because if I was the head of MUFON, the last 5-6 years would be completely different. Completely different. I would be making sure that me as executive director, I would know the exact names of every state director I have. And once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'd be having a 30-minute conversation with them. Same as my board. Same as everything. You need to. But there is such a, excuse me, what's the word I'm looking for? A disassociation from the board to its actual members who are doing that work. If I was an investigator right now for MUFON, I don't know if I could continue. But that's me. You know, no shame on MUFON, because there's going to be people out there who agree with what they're doing. Right?
Like me.
You agree with what they're doing?
Well, in a large part, I do.
Save that. Save that.
All right.
We'll make some great radio here in a seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you and I have always seen a little bit different aspects of MUFON.
3 seconds. Hold on, buddy.
Cheers.
We're out of third. We're headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Let's continue on with the UFO report. Tim Seanor is here. We're talking about the UFO group MUFON, which has been around for almost 55 years, adding a Washington, D.C. lobbyist to their board of directors. Now, Tim, you kind of like this move. Tell me why you like it.
Well, I mean, I would need to know the exact position, what it's going to entail with this new board director member, Jessica Toko. But what it seems like we're looking at is the potential liaison or partnership coming, with helping to put some of the cases that MUFON have in front of people in the DOD, people in the Pentagon, people that are working in our government that are interested in it. It doesn't feel like this is information we are trying to keep out of anyone's hands. If anything, MUFON's information has been so carefully and meticulously put together by the amazing people that are doing the boots on the ground work that you're talking about, and then covered by the directors and refined by the directors, hand talked to by each person. Like I spoke to my director before they made sure that my case was a real case. They do their work. And then let's say the government's like, hey, we're looking for somebody to collaborate with because we're trying to get some truth on this subject. And we've got Enigma here and we've got MUFON here. Well, I'm going to pick MUFON because it's got a history. It is transparent with the people that are involved, at least on the level that I'm interested in. Okay. Because you're interested on a level of the directors, and that's a different story. And we can get into that. But my personal experience with them is so phenomenal that I would support the entire organization based on the good that I know they're doing on the boots on the ground level still. And until they falter on that, well, they're not going to change my mind. I'm still seeing the good of that company. Now, if they decide that they want to share that in some way to help in any way, shape, or form govern this topic, well, then I support that too, because they hold what I believe are highly refined, true stories, or at least from people that they have made sure believe their stories. And a lot of them come with data. So I 100% support something that gets that truth to the people that need to know, whether it's government or, into legislation or wherever it needs to go at this point, as long as it doesn't get, blended into, used against us. But like what I'm saying is that I support that. Yes.
Okay. And I think you make a brilliant argument. I really do. And I could see where getting civilians into the conversation and not just military members is a good thing, because too many times we see politicians, especially in the US, get a little bit too absorbed by what the military and military members say. Okay. And I agree with you on that. I think that's a fantastic point. My concern is this: do the civilian reports, okay, do they get into military hands? Or are they kept segregated from military reports? Also, my other concern with it would be this: does the public who is currently given reports to MUFON without, because let's face it, 95% of people do not read the fine print. Okay. Do they know that they have given their reports to MUFON without knowing that that report is going to get into the government hands? Because there are a lot of people who have experienced this phenomena who do not trust the government, no matter what level it is: municipal, civic, city, provincial, or state. Pardon me, I'm not an expert on American politics. Okay, but do they know that? And you know what? The excuse that MUFON can use is, well, it was right there in the fine print. Nobody reads the fine print.
Right.
95% of people who buy a car do not read their contract.
Right.
Okay. They don't read the contract. 5% of people do. So that is my concern with this. What safety measures is MUFON taking to protect the people in their reports? Because if I'm an investigator and I'm now having to explain to Tim Seanor, by the way, there is a good chance this report will be reviewed by Arrow or whatever team in Washington, D.C., or government spooks in Washington, D.C., I personally may have an issue with that. You may not, but there are going to be others who have, Tim.
Right. Right. And you're talking about two totally different people: the people that do report and the people that don't. The people that do report kind of assume it's public. If there's anyone interested, government or other, have at it. Because honestly, I can't believe what I saw. They're still blown away. And like, the public isn't usually as savvy as you and I. And so they're looking for somewhere to put this bizarre experience out in the public eye, and they're looking for something legit. And so they do a search, they find Norfolk, and they find MUFON, and they report to both. And that's the right thing to do, right? Because if you want to report, those are the two most credible places to do so. And by doing that, you realize anytime there's an acronym in the name, it's probably going to get, you know, reported to the government if they're interested, right? And we know that there are rating systems that take place. And within those rating systems, something's going to get viewed or not viewed. And probably the people that make those reports, they report it because they want the world to know. And they're like, this was massive. And if it's a big enough case and it's real and it's been, you know, vetted, then our government should probably know about it. And so we need to release some of this stuff and stop worrying so much about who is Big Brother and why does he care? Well, he's looking for answers. Why are we so hung up on giving them to him? That's my position. If I have a case and I want to report it, who cares who sees it? I want the world to see it, and that includes the government. I don't even care if it's on the other side of the planet and their government sees it. I want the world to know because it's a world topic. That's me, and I'm somebody that has reported the things that I've seen. But that's not everyone's position. I do feel potentially it's the public's position because that was kind of my family's position, and they're all different people. That was 9 people that all decided to do that. So, you know, we all are from a different place in our worlds, and they're all like, let's just all file this one report.
Okay. And I agree with you. I think the majority of the population is exactly like you and your family. But you have also, since then, done a lot of growth in this field and in learning about the cover-up that is going on regarding this subject. And the fact that the government is not being truthful when it comes to what they know about this subject. We're watching, I mean, you and I have had many a private talk with Random Guy lately, and we are watching a propaganda movement being played hard and strong right now over 3 drones. Not balloons, like we're being told, drones. And that's what scares me for the public. Because, you know, I don't consider myself an insider, but I consider myself someone who knows more than probably a lot of the population regarding this. Now, I'm not a voice. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not a voice of authority. But my question is, why feel comfortable with that, knowing what you know, that the government is covering it up, that it's not disclosure, it's a confirmation. And Tim, recently you've even said to me that you're struggling with the whole nuts and bolts aspect of it because of things that are starting to happen that are opening your eyes.
Right. Right.
So I mean, I'm not denying what you said. I'm not trying to shove everything back in your face because, like I said, I believe 90%, 95% of the people out there are going to be just like your family. Hey, let's Google, who do I report this to? MUFON's name comes up. Bang, let's put it in there. I get that. I appreciate that. The reports are important. But when a game is being played, does that not make you feel a little bit more conscious about who's reading your report?
Again, you know, these things are more of a signal to me as to what the game really is and how to play it. You know, what that tells me is, this gets me a little nervous because it tells me that they don't know anything, is what it tells me. The fact that they're coming to me and my group looking for my data, the fact that they're looking to MUFON for answers, the fact that they're doing what they can to cover up things and call it one thing and then do these bizarre next 3 shoot downs and still calling that all tells me that they don't know a thing about what the real phenomenon is. or UFOs. Let's just call it that. They don't know a thing about UFOs. They're still very much in the dark. And the thing, when you bring up consciousness and abduction, that's just like, whoa, that's even bigger for them.
Brother, I hear you.
So I feel them reaching out to MUFON shows me that they really are kind of trying to figure this shit out.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. They don't know.
No,
and I'm sorry for swearing. Mark that.
I had to mark it.
I'm sorry. That's the first time I've ever sworn on your show. So there you go.
Don't worry. It'll be edited out for our radio stations.
Excellent.
But the key is this. We know that all you have to do, I mean, anybody from Arrow can get, and any government agent, all they have to do is sign up to be a MUFON member, and bang, they get access to it. We know that's happening. Okay. I guess in my personal belief, I would have loved to have seen MUFON just take an entirely different direction. I mean, look, the last month or two, we'd really been talking about some sort of watchdog out there to really, hammer home for the people what's happening to them. And no offense, but in typical MUFON fashion, I think they dropped the ball on that. I really do. So it's just tough for me when I see good people who've had experiences. Take myself out of the equation, but good people who have had extraordinary experiences that they've never asked for in their life, and they're trusting these people to do investigations on them. And then knowing that those reports are going to fall into the hands of government officials.
I mean, right? You can say that in a nefarious way, or you can say that in a positive way. You can say that in lots of ways. But my feeling is, yeah, into officials, I think that's going to be okay. I'm not trying to
sell you. I'm not trying to sell you a 1976 El Camino here, man. Oh, look, it comes with a canopy too, and it's automatic, and it still takes leaded gas, but that's okay. We're going to change it over to regular, unleaded. Don't worry about it. We're taking care of it. I mean, you're right. The argument could go many, many different directions. It really can. But let's move on. We got 6 minutes left. Talk to me about Space Force here.
I'd love to, because Space Force and Space Command passed the buck on UFOs as the U.S. airspace security questions swirl, right? And so the Pentagon's U.S. Space Force and U.S. Space Command have so far been absent from discussions on a handful of UFOs over North America that have been shot down by the military in the recent days. So these flying objects were shot down last weekend, including one over northern Alaska on Friday, one over Canada's Yukon Territory on Saturday, and one over Lake Huron on Sunday. A week prior, a Chinese spy balloon was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of South Carolina. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, and the United States Northern Command, NORTHCOM, have been taking the lead on the information related to the UFOs, but details on how involved the space-focused military agencies have been on identifying the objects and securing U.S. airspace is not clear. And so, the Space Command, which is one of the 11 of the military's combatant commands, is in charge of command and control of the troops in space region. However, a spokesperson for the command said it is not taking a lead role on the UFOs as the objects operated outside the command's their area of responsibility. And so the U.S. command operates the most exquisite and extensive sensor network in the world, the agency told Fox News Digital in a statement on Tuesday. While nothing that NORAD, NORTHCOM, and the Pentagon are the focal point of the efforts to identify the UFOs. So while the UFOs are past U.S. Spacecom's area of responsibility, we continue to monitor these events and provide supporting data to Northern Command. So when asked to elaborate on what supporting data is, they just declined to reply. And so the command plans, executes, and integrates military space power into multi-domain global operations in order to deter aggression, defend national interests, and when necessary, defeat threats. And so that's the position that they took. It's not in their purview. And so they just conveniently had nothing to say. We do support data, but we have nothing to say on the specifics. So Space Force and Space Command passing the buck, Dave.
Are they really passing the buck, or are they worried about more other things? Okay, there's a lot of tension up there. And let's face it, their satellites have to be prepared for not aliens right now, but any other sort of defense mechanisms in case someone over there goes stupid and presses the red button. And that's what I believe. I'm willing to give Space Force and Space Command a real benefit of the doubt right now, because this is a tense time, a very tense time around the world. And now that we know that these Chinese drones are coming on in, and we don't know how many more there are, military is not going to let us know.
That's right.
Who knows what's going on? So the fact that they're passing the buck to UFOs to Arrow, or it sounds like now they're going to make a new team because Arrow didn't have the power that it should have, according to lawmakers, because, you know, this will be the 58th team in, you know, the last 14 weeks. And I'm not even close to exaggerating on that, maybe a little. But, you know, Space Force has a lot to worry about right now, and I'm okay with that. If it means the safety of us here in North America, and they've got bigger jobs to worry about than UFOs, what else does that tell you, Tim? Guess what isn't a threat?
That's right. Any of this. But, you know, Senator Kennedy says that it's time for Biden to speak out about the unknown flying objects. And he's saying that the cow is out of the barn. And I love that quote. And in that briefing, lawmakers are left with many questions surrounding the downing of these Chinese spy balloons and the additional unidentified flying objects. But I love how that he sewed up the end of this meeting with, "You better lock your doors tonight." And there's a lot of implications with that. And I'm wondering what Senator Kennedy has in the back of his mind.
Oh, my goodness. I don't really know. I really don't know. And I don't want to really speculate on that, because I think he's maybe hinting at UFOs and aliens, but I think he's hinting at something a lot more nefarious that is way east of us or closer west. It's just a scary time, my friend.
It is.
It is a scary, scary time. And in a way, all I'm saying is this: people, do your own homework. Don't fall for the propaganda that's going on. Remember, here's another one that I just thought of, and I just mentioned it to you a minute ago. If UFOs were a threat, Space Force would be all over it.
Great point. Great point. Words to sleep by.
All right. Tim, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we do have to say goodnight. A very, very awesome UFO report tonight, my friend. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in a couple nights' time. And we also want to say a big thank you tonight to our good friend Swamp Dweller for allowing us to share his spooky stories on this show to kick off hour 3 each and every night. And a big thank you to our buddy Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and Jacob Rice, Washington State paranormal investigator and documentarian, talking about the paranormal all night long. It just seems so refreshing. So refreshing to take that UFO break to talk paranormal the last couple of nights, and I'm so thankful for it. I really, really am. All right, we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up. for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Right beside Random Guy. He's starting to like the Woo. Good night.